Going on YouTube, so I wanted to do my official bowl prediction video for the 2015-16 bowl season. So it's here. Bowl season is upon us. Really, actually excited about this bowl lineup for this year. Obviously, you got your few dud bowl games, but as a whole, it should be a really exciting bowl season. There's a lot of good matchups. I don't know. I wasn't near as excited for last year's bowl season. That's for sure. So start with the first game, which is the Gildan, New Mexico Bowl. And that's Arizona and New Mexico. So I think it'll be interesting, just for me to watch how Arizona finished out the year. If you guys watched any of my videos before the season started, I was very high on Arizona. I really thought they were going to finish inside the top 10. And obviously that fell apart very quickly. I thought that the sophomores would come back and just absolutely wreck the Pac-12 South this year. And none of the sorts happened. So I think that Arizona will finish off the year strong as a 7-win team, which will bring New Mexico, I believe, to 7-6. Alright, so my second one is the Royal Purple Las Vegas Bowl, which is one of the more intriguing early bowl season games. And it is Utah and BYU, will also be happening very close to both schools. It's happening, obviously, over in Nevada. And, yeah, I think that I really think that Utah's going to win this game. Both teams are obviously solid. It's going to be a pretty intriguing quarterback battle. Tanner Mangum against Travis Wilson. See how Utah responds to a rough late season patch where I believe they lost 3 of their last 5 games. And, BYU's won a few games in a row now, I want to say, ever since that loss to Mizzou. So, both teams heading in obviously got a lot to play for. It is a pretty huge rivalry game. So, like I said, definitely should be a fun game to watch, but I'm going with Utah in this one. And then next one is the Camellia Bowl, which is Appalachian State and Ohio. And obviously not one of the more intriguing games. I do like watching Appalachian State. They have a very solid offense and, didn't quite come out winning the Sun Belt. Ohio, actually, the last game they played was beating Northern Illinois, so they had a solid finish to the season, and see if they can, I believe if App State wins, they'll notch a 10-win season, so I think they'll win, but both teams heading in are doing pretty well. So move on to the Cure Bowl, which is Georgia State and San Jose State. And again, not one of the more intriguing games unless you actually look into it. San Jose State's played a couple close games this year. I believe they're a pretty good team. And, well, pretty good. And then Georgia State actually just destroyed a pretty good Georgia Southern team to end the season. So I'm interested to see what happens with Georgia State here. I believe that they'll win the game. And I want to see how good they actually are at the end of the season. And see if they can maybe get a little bit of hype going into the following season as a Group of 5 team. Alright, so move on to the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl, which is Arkansas State and Louisiana Tech. So, two teams actually pretty close to each other on the map. Obviously, LA Tech a little bit closer to the New Orleans Dome than Mercedes Dome, whatever you know it as. Than Arkansas State, but I think this should be another good matchup. Freddie Knighton against Jeff Driscoll. Two of the bigger name quarterbacks not in the Power 5. Jeff Driscoll's had a pretty solid year. I believe Louisiana Tech's either a 7 or 8 win team. And Arkansas State finished the year off very solid. I believe they can notch a 10-win season by winning this bowl game. And they won the Sun Belt, so obviously they finished off the year pretty well. And I think that Arkansas State will win this game. So move on to the Miami Beach Bowl, which is actually, I think, one of the most intriguing early bowl season Group of 5 matchups, and that is USF and Western Kentucky. This will definitely be a fun game to watch. If you're looking for other games to watch outside of Power 5 games, this is definitely one of them. USF coming in incredibly hot, beat Temple worse than Temple's been beat this year, and I believe they won like 5 straight or something heading into this game. So they've been doing really well. Western Kentucky just won the Conference USA. They are a 10-win team, and see if they can actually, I want to say they're 11 now. I want to say they're an 11-win team now, and see if they can notch 12 wins and send Brandon Dowdy off with a victory in his last game at Western Kentucky, most likely. All right, so move on to the Idaho Potato Bowl. Can't say that. Akron and Utah State. So, no disrespect about these programs, but definitely one of the more boring games on this list. So, Akron and Utah State. One team didn't expect to do anything in the MAC, so props to Akron this year. But Utah State had a lot of expectations heading into the year. In the Mountain West, Truckee Keaton once again got hurt, and Utah State was incredibly up and down this year. But I think that they're going to win. I think they're going to win this game and cap off a pretty inconsistent season with a win. So move on to the Boca Raton Bowl, and another intriguing matchup in the Group of 5, which is Temple and Toledo. So Toledo, one game off of the MAC championship. I do believe that they're the best team in the MAC this year, though. The MAC champion was Bowling Green, who I do believe is a solid team, but Toledo did beat them in the regular season. Not just beat them pretty badly. It was 44-28. So, Temple just lost the AAC championship, but again, still a very good team. And, I think Temple's going to win this game. It should be a really intriguing game. Very good offense against very good defense. And, like I said, looking for a Group of 5 games to watch, I'd definitely star that one on your list. So next one is the Poinsettia Bowl, which is Boise State and Northern Illinois. So Boise State, one of the more disappointing teams this season in the Group of 5, if not the most disappointing. And then Northern Illinois actually just lost the MAC championship by about 20 points. So I think Boise State's going to finish off the season strong, get another win, move Northern Illinois to, I want to say, 8-6 on the year, and then see if Boise State can notch their 9th win to bring it to a 9-4 season. All right, so the next one is the GoDaddy Bowl, which is Bowling Green and Georgia Southern, and two teams headed in opposite directions right now. So Georgia Southern actually just lost last week in their last regular season game, and that was to Georgia State. Again, they were pretty heavily favored in. And I think that Bowling Green's going to win this game. I think Matt Johnson's going to go out in style. I think that Bowling Green is the superior team here. And it will be interesting to see the triple option facing off against a very pass-heavy offense. So if you do like variations in offensive styles, this is your type of game. So move on to the Bahamas Bowl, the first bowl game announced in the bowl season. Middle Tennessee State against Western Michigan. Now, not much to say here. Not a very intriguing game in my mind. I think Western Michigan's going to win it. I think they are, what would that make them? I guess the 4th best team in Michigan. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, not much to say about that. I think Western Michigan's going to win this game. Game's in a nice location. Both teams get away from the brutal weather of northwestern Michigan, and then I guess the somewhat brutal weather of Nashville, Tennessee. Not really as brutal as Michigan, but yeah. Anyway, move on to the Hawaii Bowl, which is Cincinnati and San Diego State. A game that, I don't know. Every bowl game I ever watched Cincinnati play, it seems like they played pretty good. I want to say they played North Carolina last year. That was either last year or 2 years ago. But I'm going to go with San Diego State in this game, pick the hot team that just won the Mountain West. I think they'll cap off a very, very, very good season with 11 wins. So move on to the St. Petersburg Bowl, which is Marshall and UConn. And again, not a very intriguing game. Marshall was one of the favorites to win the Conference USA this year. That did not pan out. And UConn's actually played quite a few close games this year. I've watched UConn play a little bit this year, and I think they are actually a pretty decent team for being a 6-win team in the Group of 5. They were the only team to beat Houston this year, so at least so far. So that was a pretty good accomplishment. I'm going to go with UConn in this game. Move on to the Sun Bowl, which is actually another pretty intriguing matchup between two pretty good quarterbacks, which is Miami and Washington State. And Luke Falk against Brad Kaya. I think the Miami will win this game. Again, another team that's had an up and down season. And I think that Brad Kaya will be... Excuse me. I think Brad Kaya will get a big win heading into his junior year. So move on to the Heart of Dallas Bowl, which is Southern Mississippi and Washington. And I think this will be an intriguing game just because both these teams have been pretty good but pretty inconsistent this year. Southern Miss just lost the Conference USA Championship. But I believe it was a close game. I want to say it was 27-24 against Western Kentucky. So I'm going to go with Washington in this game just because they have been a pretty solid team this year. Just destroyed Washington State. I think that was in their last game. So I think this could be a good game. Heart of Dallas Bowl does tend to be blowouts sometimes, but I'm going to go with Washington in this one. So move on to the Pinstripe Bowl, which is Duke and Indiana. And I'm going to go with Duke in this game. Again, not much to say. Two teams that, well, Indiana actually had a big push at the end of the season. Played a lot of pretty good teams pretty close, honestly. They played Michigan pretty close. They played Iowa really close as well. So I'm going to go Duke in this game. Team that kind of fell off the map at the end of the season, but yeah. So move on to the Independence Bowl, which is Tulsa and Virginia Tech and Frank Beamer's last game. I think that Virginia Tech's going to win this game, send Frank Beamer off in style, and I think it'll just be a cool game to watch to see the end of an era, as I believe he is the longest tenured head coach that will now be leaving college football. So should be cool to watch. And then next one is the Farms Bowl, which is Nebraska and UCLA. I believe Nebraska is one of the, I want to say, 3 5-win teams that was allowed into the bowl season. So they do get in, even though they didn't beat Iowa in their final game, and didn't get a great slot in their bowl game. Gonna have to face a pretty tough UCLA team that's probably gonna be pretty pissed off by the way the USC game went. So I don't think it's going to be a very fun game for Nebraska. I do think they're going to lose to UCLA. So move on to the Military Bowl, which is Navy and Pittsburgh. And I think this is a pretty intriguing game. Pittsburgh, I believe, was the second best team in the ACC Coastal Division this year. Excuse me. And you know what, Navy, I think they'll finish off the year real solid. Send Keenan Reynolds off in style. I think he'll have a big game. And it should be a fun game to watch. One that like I said, Navy was another team that I was high on at the beginning of the year. So I think it's big to be able to watch Keenan Reynolds in his last game. I'm looking forward to it. And then move on to the Quick Lane Bowl, which is Central Michigan and Minnesota. And I think this will be one of the most entertaining Group of 5 versus Power 5 games. Central Michigan is a team that has put up a very, very good fight against some good Power 5 teams this year. In their first game against Oklahoma State, they only lost by 11. And Oklahoma State, it didn't really seem like they were controlled the game. Cooper Rush put up a very good fight. He's a good quarterback. And against Michigan State, they put up a pretty good fight as well. And I think they will against Minnesota. I think that Michigan State and Oklahoma State are both better teams than Minnesota. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I do think Minnesota is going to win this game, though. So move on to the Armed Forces Bowl, which is Air Force in California. And Air Force actually just came off a loss in the Mountain West Championship to San Diego State, and I think California is going to win this game. Not really sure if Jared Goff's going to declare for the draft yet, but so I'm not sure if he's a senior. That's sad. Sorry. Anyway, regardless if he goes or stays, I think the Cal will win this game. Alright, so move on to the Arizona Bowl, which is Colorado State and Nevada. Not a whole lot to say about this. I think Colorado State will win. They're just a flat-out better team here. Yeah, so move on to the Texas Bowl, LSU and Texas Tech. And I'm actually going to go with the underdog here. I think that Texas Tech can win this game. I just don't think that LSU has the offensive firepower to keep up with a team like Texas Tech. Granted, Texas Tech's defense is awful. They are terrible. One of the worst defenses in the country. But their offense is one of the best in the country, and I think that Patrick Mahomes and DeAndre Washington are going to lead them to a win against a pretty good SEC team. Now, obviously Leonard Fournette's probably going to run wild, but I think that Texas Tech will be able to match whatever LSU throws at them. Plus, LSU's game plans a lot of teams have been able to successfully game plan for LSU at the end of the season. Alright, so we move on to the Birmingham Bowl, which is Auburn and Memphis. I think that I think this will be an intriguing game. I'm not sure if Sean White's going to be back by this point or not, but if he is, you'll be looking at a much better Auburn team. It'll be interesting to see Auburn come out, or how Auburn comes out and plays. But they're facing a very good Memphis team that's already beaten an SEC West team this year, and I think that Memphis is going to win again, but behind a big effort from Paxton Lynch. So we move on to the Belk Bowl, which is actually a pretty intriguing matchup. Mississippi State and NC State, two very, very similar teams. Two teams that rely on their dual threat senior quarterbacks to do most of the heavy lifting. And two very good quarterbacks at that, and that's Dak Prescott and Jacoby Brissett. I still think two of the more underlooked quarterbacks this year. Dak Prescott's kind of flown under the radar since Mississippi State is not as good as they were last year. And I think Mississippi State's going to win this game by no stretch of the mind if they had a bad season. They did get beat pretty good by Ole Miss, but I think they had a pretty solid season in the SEC. I believe they finished with 8 wins, and I think they're going to finish with 9 after this. So move on to the Music City Bowl, which is Louisville and Texas A&M. And I think Texas A&M is going to win this game. They're going to put a cap on their season, which has not finished off very well. A little mix-up at quarterback. I believe that Kyle Allen will be starting this game, and I think he'll prove that he really should be the starting quarterback for A&M. So move on to the Holiday Bowl, which is USC and Wisconsin. And another intriguing matchup in my mind. I want to see how USC finishes off the year as a team that actually has 5 losses right now. Especially with them taking the interim tag off of Clay Helton. I want to see how he can respond at the end of the year after leading him to a 5-3 record in the regular season while he was head coach. I think that USC is going to win this game. Wisconsin's been a very much up and down team this year, but they have struggled against teams that are top 25 teams or just outside of that, and I think that's going to continue. Alright, so the TaxSlayer Bowl, Georgia and Penn State. Again, two kind of opposite teams. Penn State, obviously a pass-heavy team with Christian Hackenberg. I think the big question here is if they can actually have an offensive line this game. Christian Hackenberg's been beat up like no other this season. Got just, I want to say there was like 11 sacks. It was between 8 and 11 sacks against Michigan State. It seemed like he was sacked on almost every play. He's had no offensive line this year. I think this might be his last year at Penn State. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think that Georgia is going to win this game. It'll be interesting to see what they do with quarterback with Mark Richt gone, and see how Sony Michel and Keith Marshall are able to take the reins. They've actually done a pretty good job ever since Nick Chubb got injured. So move on to the Liberty Bowl. If I didn't say I think Georgia's going to win that game, I think I did though. Liberty Bowl, Kansas State and Arkansas. I think this will be a very fun matchup to watch. Kansas State team that's playing very spirited right now had a very, very impressive win against West Virginia last week to get bowl eligible. And I do think Arkansas is going to win this game. Arkansas has been fantastic at the end of the year, and I think they're going to move to an 8-win team. And I believe they were an 8-win team last year. They were either a 7 or 8-win team. So. Yeah, like I said, I think Arkansas is going to be. I think they're going to be able to run a little bit wild on Kansas State. Kansas State hasn't seen a team that can run quite like Arkansas. Maybe OU is the only team that's comparable, and they got demolished by OU. So we'll see what happens. Brandon Allen's also played fantastic down the stretch this year. Completely played over expectations. So. It should be interesting to see what happens there. And then the last one is the Cactus Bowl, which is Arizona State and West Virginia. And two teams that, one team kind of met expectations, the other one completely faltered. Arizona State, another 6-win team that was expected to be a top 15 team this year. That did not. That was not the result. And I think West Virginia is going to win this game. I think West Virginia is a very solid team that. Really recovered from the injury of their best player in Carl Joseph. Kind of hard to recover off how he started the season. He was the heart and soul of that defense, and defense was kind of the heart and soul of the team. So, Skylar Howard has played pretty good down the stretch this year. They finished tied for 5th, I want to say, in the Big 12. And, I think they were pretty good. I think obviously I think they're pretty good. They're going to get a good win over Arizona State and cap off a 9-win season. I think it's actually an 8-win season. So, yeah. Obviously, if you guys notice something, I am doing individual previews for a lot of the bowl games. All the New Year's Six bowls, and then like the Alamo Bowl, Russell Athletic Bowl, I'm going to do individual previews for just because they are massive bowl games with very good teams and should be very good matchups. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll put the links in the description below for every video that I do. I'll also put the link for the top 25 rankings video in the description below. And yeah, look out for those videos coming in the next few days. Give me a follow on Twitter, follow on Instagram. Like I said, I've been kind of doing a reboot with my social media, so that's pretty much it. So yeah.